I was very excited when I heard that Zelda had an official timeline coming out. However, when I saw it, I was rather disappointed. Not only because there are splits, but because there's a split based on Link dying. Not exactly how I want to view my favorite Nintendo character. So this timeline is what I've worked out on my own. I know full well this will contradict the official timeline. I made a timeline that is linear. No splits at all. I do my best to show the links in between the games. I've done hours of research and watching and playing the different Zelda games to get the key moments. So without further delay, here is my Legend of Zelda timeline. In the beginning there was chaos. The three goddesses descended to bring order to the chaos and created the land later to be known as Hyrule. Upon leaving this realm, the goddesses created the Triforce. The Triforce is a relic of immense power that rivals even the goddesses. But only mortal people could use the power of the Triforce. Demise, the Demon King, hated the goddesses and vowed to destroy them and saw his opportunity in the Triforce. He gave up his immortal form in order to obtain the Triforce and to use its awesome power. However, Hylia, who was charged with protecting the Triforce, stood to fight him. Demise was too powerful to defeat, but after a fierce battle, Hylia sealed him away and assumed a mortal form as well to create the seal. And thus, the events of Skyward Sword play out. Link is awakened as the goddess's chosen hero and fights Demise with the newly forged Master Sword. Demise is enraged and casts the curse of the Triforce over himself, Link, and Zelda. He is then forever sealed away in the Master Sword and is held there for all time by Fi. Afterwards, Zelda and Link establish the land of Hyrule on the surface, and thus, Hyrule as we know it is made. Zelda goes on to become the royal family, preserving the bloodline of Hylia. Link's character is not necessarily based on bloodlines, but character qualities such as being courageous. Now before I progress, I want to mention something very key to my timeline theory. Ganon and Ganondorf are two separate people. I'll explain what I mean. Ganon is the incarnate of Demise and possesses Ganondorf to get what he wants, the Triforce. Then, the events of Ocarina of Time happen. While trying to protect the Triforce, Link pulls the Master Sword and unknowingly releases the essence of Demise, which then possesses Ganondorf and creates the next Demon King, Ganon. Link is sealed in the Sacred Realm for his protection and his piece of the Triforce with him, and Ganondorf claims the Triforce of Power. Link eventually awakens all the sages and sets out to defeat Ganondorf. Link eventually defeats Ganondorf and Ganon, and the sages seal both of them in the void. Now, I believe that Ganon and Ganondorf are two separate people for several reasons. Only twice are the two in a game together, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. And both times, Ganon is shown as this large beast with large horns. But every other game with just Ganon in it, he is a humanoid pig-looking character. Let me reference Ganon and Malladus. Malladus and Ganon in god form, and after they possess someone. And so, after Ocarina, Majora's Mask happens. Link goes in search of Navi, since she left after Ocarina of Time. Link goes into Lost Woods without a fairy, and anyone who enters the Lost Woods without a fairy will become a Stalfos. I'll explain why this is important in a minute. Sometime after Ocarina happens, Ganondorf manages to escape the void. The sages are standing watch and try to execute him. Unable to, the sages seal Ganondorf in the Twilight Realm, and thus Twilight Princess is next in the timeline. The end of this game is very critical, but first I mentioned earlier that Link turned into a Stalfos after Majora's Mask. I say that because the hero shade in Twilight Princess is clearly a skeletal figure, like a Stalfos, and claims to be the hero of time, which is Link's title from Ocarina of Time. And both Link and the hero shade are wolves in the Twilight Realm. Anyway, at the end of Twilight Princess, Link defeats Ganondorf in the field, and we see the Triforce fade from Ganondorf's hand. I believe this signifies the Triforce of Power leaving Ganondorf, as well as Ganon no longer possessing him. Now, we never actually see Ganondorf die either. We move on to the other happenings of the ending of Twilight Princess. Since Ganon no longer had control of the Triforce of Power, he felt he needed a new strategy. So he left Ganondorf and went to Death Mountain to formulate a new plan, and to gather his might. After some time, Ganon decides to attack Hyrule outright and manages to kidnap Zelda, and the original Legend of Zelda takes place. Link goes to the surrounding area of Death Mountain and gathers the pieces of the Triforce that Zelda has scattered. Once he has done this, Link faces Ganon and defeats him, sealing him away in the Dark World. Shortly after, Adventures of Link happens. Some mystical power is trying to revive Ganon by using Link's blood. Link sets out and prevents Ganon's revival. Sometime later, A Link to the Past reveals who was trying to revive Ganon. Aghanim, possessed by the shade of Ganon from the Dark Realm. Link must free the 7 maidens and stop Aghanim, and then he travels to the Dark Realm to stop Ganon. Here, many years pass, but eventually Ganondorf returns to try to claim the Triforce once more. How did he live so long? Well, how did Impa live so long in Skyward Sword? Ganondorf obviously knows a great deal of magic, and had the Triforce of Power for some time. Perhaps the exposure extended his life. And so, Wind Waker happens. Hyrule is flooded, and Link must stop Ganondorf before he claims the Triforce. In an epic battle, Link defeats Ganondorf, and Ganondorf is turned to stone, never to return. Unfortunately, the Master Sword is also sealed in stone with him. The King of Hyrule saves Zelda and Link and tells them to discover a new land to start again. So they set out, and Phantom Hourglass is the beginning of that journey. Now Bellum is of no relation to the Demon King, but he may be related to Bylethite from Skyward Sword, the entity that possessed Levias. He causes trouble here for the Ocean King, a descendant of Levias, and relative of the Windfish, from the next game in the timeline, Link's Awakening. While Link is out searching for a new land for Hyrule, he gets caught in this terrible storm and washes up on Koholint Island. We find out it is all a dream of the Windfish, but Link must break the nightmare's hold on the Windfish to free him. After a long search, Link finally discovers a new continent to re-establish Hyrule. Many years of peace pass in this new land until Minish Cap occurs. Vati, a mighty sorcerer, appears and causes new trouble. With the Master Sword now gone, a new sword must be forged, thus the birth of the Four Sword. In the end, Link seals Vati in the Four Sword. Later on, Shadow Link reappears and tricks Link into freeing Vati in the Four Swords adventure. Link goes around freeing the maidens and finds that someone stole the Trident of Power from the desert. The game says it is Ganondorf, but I believe it is Vati disguised as Ganondorf, because Vati was a master of deception, and he went searching for the Trident to gain power, much like the Minish Cap. What Vati didn't know was that the Trident held Ganon's essence, and freed Ganon from the Dark Realm. Once Link defeats Vati, a strange black force escapes, and stops Link and Zelda in the bottom of the castle. Link defeats Ganon, and Zelda and the maidens seal Ganon away in the void. Sometime later, Link is drawn to Holodrum and Labrina in the Oracle games. At the end of both games, we discover that Twinrova is trying to release Ganon once more. Fair upgrades Link's sword to create a new Master Sword, the only sword capable of vanquishing Ganon once and for all. Since Ganon was stuck in between being revived, he was destroyed. Now that Ganon is finally defeated, for good, a new Demon King is incarnated, Malladus. And of course, he immediately sets out to rule the world. Thankfully, this new land has guardians of its own, known as Lokomo. However, being the Demon King, Malladus is more powerful than anyone they have faced before, and can only seal him in the earth. And so, Spirit Track occurs as the final game on the timeline. Link must find a way to restore Zelda's spirit to Arati, before Malladus is restored. Unfortunately, Malladus is awoken, and Link battles him. Link succeeds, and Malladus is defeated. And so, Hyrule can once more return to a time of peace. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my timeline.